Hello and welcome to Investing Bros. I am T Shroom, and I'm super honored that you would join to try to figure out what are some altcoins that are going to pump next. Of course, Chainlink and Solana and AVAX have been pumping to the upside. Tim just did an awesome video. My partner at this channel just did an awesome video on why those alts are doing really, really well and where they might be going next. But guys, what are the alts that haven't pumped yet that are gonna do 10, 11, 15, 20% here in the weekend or going into next week? We're gonna dive in and try to find out. But before we do, I gotta show you guys this crazy chart. This is the Dixie, the DXY, and I am showing you this because A, it is pumping to the upside. Now, this is the dollar. Usually, traders want this to go down, right? We want this to go down, and this is what I'm actually showing you, is because we've got some lower candles that printed down here. And before I went live, I was actually excited because it looked like the Dixie on the 1 hour, on the 1 day, the daily chart, was actually breaking through the midline of the Bollinger Band for the first time in it's basically since January 3rd, since early January. But it actually got bought pretty heavily. And it's, when I say bought, it's actually not really, this isn't an asset to buy or sell. This is kind of a tool. This is an index tracker. The actual price itself is an index tracker. However, you can say that this was bullish this morning. It flipped bearish for crypto because it's, I think what it is, though, I think it's there's going to be a lot of selling somewhere. Somebody is rotating into dollars. I'm not exactly sure why. China, cough, cough. But I'm not, I really wanted to see this come back down. Now, it is a daily candle, right? So this could easily come all the way back down like it has for the last, 10 candles, right? Print down here below 103. And then maybe even make a move lower to go ahead and print a full candle body below the midline of the Bollinger Band there for the daily on the Dixie. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. The Dixie is important when it comes to overall macro analysis. And I'll tell you what, whenever the Dixie goes down, Bitcoin goes up. And that's why I was excited this morning. But it looks like my excitement was a little bit premature. We'll be checking in on that definitely today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when Tim and I will go live. Altcoins. Which ones are going to pump? With a question like this, we got to start off with the bubble chart. I've got the 1 day pulled up here, guys. And as you can see, Sats is down, Tau is down, but Link, Pyth, Ron, Pendle, and even IMX, you can't see it because it's behind me, are pumping big. Okay, eGold also up pretty good this morning, and Ordi down 4.7%. All right. So on the thumbnail, we have Cardano and Ethereum, which I am very confident that those will pump at some point, right? So that's a kind of a foregone conclusion in my mind. Those are going to do well in the bull market, right? But will they pump in the next 5 days, right? That is another question altogether, and perhaps that will be kind of fleshed out here in some of the research. But you guys are literally just going to watch me answer this question in real time. So let's go ahead and start. We started with the bubbles. Now let's go on over to CoinMarketCap. Not going to draw any conclusions yet, just based on the bubbles I've got. So one thing you can do on CoinMarketCap that you might not know, is you can backspace and leave the website. Just kidding. You can go up to here to filters and actually customize, and you can actually authorize the 90-day percentage, right? You can say over X amount of days, who is up the most, what is down the most. And so like I could pick 30 days. Usually the default is going to be these three. I think these two. So I like to put on the 90-day. Let's put on the 60-day too. So let's apply those changes. And then you scroll over and you can see, the 60-day. Okay, well, let's get the 60-day and the 90-day next to each other. So let's just go ahead and let's just kill the max supply. How do you kill the max supply? Down here. Boom, I don't need that. All right. So now we can see the 60-day and the 90-day. And let's click 90-day first. As you can see, Internet Computer is up the most. Remember, we're looking for the altcoins that are next to pump. So far today, last night, we saw Chainlink, and we saw, if I go to the 24-hour, we saw Chainlink, AVAX do really, really well. Now, one that's not in here is Pyth. because it's not in the top 20. If I go out to the top 100 and I do the same thing, PETH is not even in the top 100. Oh yeah, it is right there. Boom. So it's up 11%, right? Pendle also up almost 13%. So you can kind of see the names that are doing really, really well. All right, but let's go back down to, let's stay at the top 100 for now. And let's go back over to the 90-day spread. Over the 90 days, yeah, this is why it probably isn't as useful to look at the top 100, but you get mostly meme coins. So the top two are meme coins that are up, Bonk being up 1,300%, and Ordi being up 700%. Celestia up 600%. So so this is where I think we start to see actual actionable data points, which is, are these overbought or are they hot and headed higher, right? That's kind of the question that we're asking. Ooh, somebody's saying my eyes. Yeah, let me turn off the white. Sorry about that. And or are they headed higher? Well, that's where we would turn to the charts, right? But let's actually flip the script. Which altcoins are actually doing the worst? And can that provide any insight? So you've got Jupiter. Now, Jupiter's a bit of an exception here because it just had an airdrop, right? Adding a bunch of supply. So I think for statistical reasons, we'll probably leave that one to the side for now. However, I would say all indications that I've seen from a fundamental standpoint is Jupiter is definitely going to be a pretty successful project, in my opinion, as it is the major DEX coin for Solana. Moving along, the one that's up the least for over the last 90 days is Sats. And what did we just see on the crypto bubbles chart is that Sats is down another 7% today. So let's start with looking at Sats. Why would I look at all this and say, why would I pick the losers? Well, I'll explain that to you in just a second. Let's take a look at Sats. Sats to USD Tether. I usually like to go with selecting an exchange. I like to go with one that's like usually an early adopter of coins. So let's try MEXC and see what that's rocking out at. Make sure it's the right price. So Sats's price is 0.00045. All right, let's take a look here. 0.000. Okay, so this is a derivative of Sats or something like that. So let's look at a different one. Again, just kind of in real time showing you guys kind of my methodology for answering this question of the day, which is what are the next altcoins that are going to explode? All right, so it looks like what Coinbase does is it just goes ahead and summarizes it to 0. So let's go ahead, or 1,000 Sats. I'm not exactly sure how this is working, but I think it is a one-to-one comparison here. It's just a different amount of zeros. That is one frustrating thing about crypto. All right, so taking a look here at Sats, you can see that this has been down and to the right, not what you want to see. I believe Ordi has had a similar price structure. It's kind of the other crypto that you would consider here. So I would say that this is, considering that it hasn't gotten back up above on the daily chart, hasn't been above the midline of the Bollinger Band all the way going back to January 3rd, similar to the Dixie, except the inverse. I don't know that this is going to be the next to explode, because if you take a look here, it just tested that midline and failed, got rejected, and is likely going to go test lower. Now, if we get a higher low here, if Sats can come in here and say, boop, this is the new low, and then start testing the midline of the Bollinger Band again, and even get up above it, and then turn it to support, right? This is where I would be buying, right in here, and even more conservatively, right in there, on that explosion, right? So that's probably buy number one. Pith analysis too. So we've got some news coming as well. I've got a headline on Pith, and we're gonna absolutely cover that. But Sats, I'd say, is the first altcoin that could pump, right? But I wouldn't say it's the next altcoin to pump. I think that there's some that are much more primed to pump. And this is a short show, so we got to keep it moving. Next up, on the ones that are low on the 90 days, Pith is up there, right? So Pith is up there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Pith chart. So Pith has actually made its way into my crypto watch list now, and look at where it is. It's right next to Chainlink, and it is up 7%. Now, one thing to note is that this one has already kind of pumped. So I don't know if we can fairly say that this is going to be the next to pump, because A, it's kind of cheating because it already did, and B, it's probably overbought at this point. Army Piper saying, good morning, everybody. Well, Army Piper, of course, has his own show that goes live right after this one. Make sure you tune into the Piper Academy. But if you can take a look here on the daily chart, you can see that we had a wick all the way up to almost 60, I think call it 60 cents. The 21% increase. I do hold Pith. I like Pith. I just hold it on spot, though. Right now, I'm not trading it. So if you take a look here, you can see that this could be an altcoin that does pretty well. You've seen that since January 13th, it's been able to trade above that midline of the Bollinger Band and has done well, even breaking above that top line of the Bollinger Band. MACD lines pointing up and to the right, and we are getting ascending histograms. Lux Algo oscillator matrix kind of showing that that hyperwave is pointing up and to the right with a confirmation dot there for bullishness. Not much data here on the money flow, I will say, but you can, if you zoom in real slow, I don't know if I don't know if that counts because that looks weird. It looks glitchy, so I'm not going to. It doesn't have enough market data, guys, because Pith is a pretty new coin. But more market data would probably show that money flow is coming in, I would assume, but that's foolish for me to even speculate. Let's take a look. That's the one thing about Pith is it's a newer coin, so a lot of the indicators are not going to be statistically reliable. But as you can see, it did find support here on this line here printed by Lux Algo. Let's look at the other indicator. Yeah, look at that. So it's been in purple this whole time until January 20th. So again, I don't know that this would fit the category. I'm going to go ahead and of the next altcoin to pump. Let's take a look here at what's going on. I see Piper's got a chat, and then we've got a super chat to get to, but I've got a lot to cover here, guys, and I'm already halfway through the show. Matic, going to kind of jump to what I think could be the next altcoin to pump, and that is Matic. As you can see, it struggled. It struggled big time on the daily. And we've talked a lot about the midline of the Bollinger Band, looking at the Dixie, looking at Sats, looking at Peeth, right? And now we're going to take a look at Matic. Now, Matic, it tried to get up above and print a candlestick above the midline of the Bollinger Band for January 11th. Failed, rejected, tested all the way back lower to the bottom band. And now, as of today, we could see, albeit a red candle, we could see the potential for an entire candlestick printing above that midline of the Bollinger Band on the daily. That would be very bullish. That would be bullish for Polygon, which has overall done pretty poorly in 2024 so far. However, it is a coin that has a lot of partnerships, that has a lot of institutional value, and folks are pretty bullish on it. Now, there's a lot that you could say about Polygon fundamentally. We're not going to get into that too much. I do think, though, that Polygon is going to be the next altcoin to pump. Now, if it doesn't, that's okay, right? You have to make sure that you're managing your risk so that you don't lose money, right? But I do think that Polygon should do pretty well here because it's been coiled like a snake. It's been consolidating, and now it has gotten up above that midline of the Bollinger Band. Now, everybody in the chat, everybody watching this is probably screaming, what about that downtrending line of resistance? Yes, it has broken through that downtrending line of resistance, very similar to AVAX, right? It's done the same thing. And what was the other one? I think it was Chainlink. Chainlink has had that going. I think it might have been Solana. Yeah, so Solana 2, I don't have it drawn, but you could draw a downtrending line of support, of resistance, and you can see this wick didn't get all the way down to it, which is actually probably more bearish because this needs to probably come back down and check that support line. But overall, Matic doing pretty well. I think this could be one of the next ones to pump. Gustavo agreeing with me, saying Matic is a safe pick. It's a great pick to invest in my opinion. Whether or not it's going to be the next one to pump, I do think it will. I really, really do. And for the sake of time, we have to keep moving. That is going to be my pick, bros. If you're looking for a next altcoin to pump, I think Matic's going to be it. Market pullback because of job numbers and unemployment. The numbers were good, so Dixie pumps and risk assets go down. Okay, yes, absolutely. That's some good fundamental input there. From Army Piper, Splashing and Smashing donated $2 and said, have you heard of So Casino? Thoughts? So Casino. I have not. but it sounds like a gambling coin potentially. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's a gambling coin, and it sounds kind of cool. I already said the name of it, which is probably more than enough of the value you got for your $2 there, splashing and smashing. All right, let's see what else we got. So we had a little pith analysis. Habibi. Yes, thank you. Very cool. I get that reference kind of as a Floridian. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news. Yes. Have we looked at the Bitcoin chart yet, though? I don't think we have, and that is super important. So let's go ahead and take a look at that really quick before we get into the news. We are at the halfway point for the show, and it's an exciting one, right? We just got some alpha. What could be the next altcoin to pump? Polygon. Polygon is the one that I'm kind of thinking could do pretty well here, guys, in the next probably 3 days. Probably the next 3 days, I do think Polygon's going to do well. All right, taking a look at Bitcoin, you can see relative to the other coins and the Dixie that we've looked at today, Bitcoin has spent a lot more of early December up above the midline of the Bollinger Band, has then kind of gotten exhausted. Buyers were exhausted at these levels, but they were not exhausted here below 41,002, right? They took a brief hiatus, kind of thinking that the market could go lower, and then they got impatient, bought back, and now we're pushing higher. The question still remains, was it a dead cat bounce? I feel like it wasn't, but maybe it wasn't even a dead cat anything to begin with. That is something to consider as well. It was just a test lower rather than a big response to a balancing response to a overbought position. I think that's more likely the case than it ever really was a dead cat bounce. But that's just my opinion, right? Now, you can see here on the daily chart that yesterday's candlestick actually closed right on the midline of the Bollinger Band. That is pretty bullish, right? Because it went down and tested and said, yep, that's the midline. We're going higher, all right? It didn't say, yeah, we're going to close right next to it or even below it. That would be an indication of moving lower. And we're also seeing the Bollinger Bands consolidate, meaning we're probably in for a bit of sideways movement, right? Which shouldn't be a surprise because that's been the narrative since early December. Sideways with some exceptions higher, some exceptions lower. Buyers are really liking Bitcoin at 42,000 is kind of the moral of the story here. Let's go ahead and get into the news, guys. Pith, however you want to pronounce it, price records a massive 25% surge as Binance lists the Pith token. So that is kind of the big catalyst here. Binance, the world's leading cryptocurrency exchange, has announced the inclusion of the Pith network's Pith token among its supported altcoins. The revelation had an immediate impact, propelling the price of Pith up by an impressive 25%, settling at 49 cents. Now it looked to me like it got much higher than that, but anyway, we'll trust the article. Just trust the process, folks. Trust the process. There, of course, the official Binance tweet going out saying Pith is ready for purchase, ready for trading. AI tokens up for Meta beasts analysts' expectations. So this is pretty cool. Got a big beat over here at Meta. Let's take a look at some of the info here. We had a good quarter as our community and businesses continued to grow. We've made a lot of progress on our vision for advancing AI and the metaverse, said your overlord, Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of social media giant, maybe you've heard of it, Facebook. The company said it was also issuing its first ever dividend, which is actually a pretty big deal. Those of you who are unfamiliar with stocks, a growth company like Facebook, now Meta, would never issue a dividend. So there's a lot of speculation around what that really means, but investors really liked it. Let's take a look here at Meta. I've got it in my mega cap tech lineup here. Where is that? There it is. Boom, boom, boom. Meta. So Meta doing real well. Now, of course, we had that NASDAQ sell-off yesterday, and that was pretty precipitous to the downside. However, Meta up, coming back up and trying to make some moves higher for shareholders. So, okay. I was going to say, I thought it was up a lot more than that. You can see the pre-market rating up here. So the markets aren't open yet, and that's why. So it's up 16%. That's right. I was like, wait, I thought it was a lot more up than that. But there are actually some coins that are situated in position to benefit off of the rise of Meta in the metaverse, and also AI. Computing Select Index. This is CoinDesk's index with AI, and they've got Render and Fetch AI as positioned to do pretty well with the continued rise of Meta, the company. A lot of words here. Render and Akash network are also positioned to do well. So these are also kind of a fundamental answer to the question of the day, which is what are some altcoins that are next ready to pump? We saw Render, we saw Akash, and what was the other one there in there? I actually don't think I'd ever heard of. Oh no, Fetch.ai, definitely heard of that one. Yeah, so those are some good ones that are also positioned to do pretty well. Yeah, if there could be a big AI pump, and the last big AI pump, if you'll remember, was really when ChatGPT came out and kind of shocked the world and was like, whoa, everybody can talk to a bot now and the bot can do your work and everybody's going to get unemployed. Well, that sent AI coins higher as well. So we could see another episode of that, and that actually functions similar to the meme season that functions outside of the normal Bitcoin, ETH, then alt season natural progression. Probably a misuse of the word natural, but here we go. Next story. BlackRock and ProShares Bitcoin ETFs surpass GBTC's daily volume. That is pretty crazy. Let's take a look here at some of the details. BlackRock's IBIT and ProShares BitO become the first Bitcoin exchange traded fund to cross Grayscale's GBTC trading volume on Thursday. IBIT ended Thursday with 306 million in trades placed, while BitO traded 298 million, so neck and neck there. The two iShares ETFs. GBTC saw a relatively lower 291 million in trades. Data from multiple sources show. There's a couple more figures in here because we got some tweets here from the legend, James Safer. He said, still some hours trading left, but looks like BlackRock's IBIT is the first to trade more than Grayscale in a single day. So there you go. And we can also take a sneak peek here at the assets, the asset lineup as well. Let's do that really quickly. All right, so Grayscale as of, let's see, this is February. Okay, yeah, so this is almost market close yesterday. No, this is after market close yesterday. So I think that this is the latest numbers. You can see Grayscale rocking out still at 20 billion, 20.5 billion, but IBIT making some good progress up to 2.8 billion. I'm looking here at this column. And then also the Fidelity one not too far behind. I did not realize that Fidelity was that close to IBIT. So Fidelity not that far behind. Man, they are neck and neck. And then ARKB is going to be the third place and is way far behind. Third place in the actual Kentucky Derby, of which GBTC is considered not to be a contestant, in my opinion. All right, well, we have covered the domestic state of Bitcoin spot ETFs. We've talked about the altcoins that are going to pump next. Matic kind of being my speculative play of which could pump next. Now let's take a look here at the Asian markets, right? Because they are still thawing. They are potentially going to unban Bitcoin and trading at some point. Hong Kong to consult on regulation for OTC crypto venues very soon. This could be the unlock of retail use of crypto there in at least Hong Kong, if not the rest of China. In fact, OTC venues have played a certain role in some of the fraud cases involving some unlicensed VA trading platforms last year, having misled investors to channel funds to these unlicensed platforms. Therefore, we believe that it's necessary to bring OTC venues under regulation, and we launch a consultation very soon on the proposed regulatory framework. So that's coming in over there in Hong Kong, almost more of a pounce of regulation than a removal, right, of the ban on crypto. It's more of like a, hey, these people are trying to get storefronts that are able to venues. They use the term venues to take crypto, and that's where a lot of illicit trade is happening apparently. So they're looking to regulate that. But with regulatory clarity comes adoption. So that is something that is kind of a neutral story, neither good nor bad, but it is a development, right? Not in the direction of banning from Asia. Bullish. Let's check in on the chat and see what is going on. Dylan Martinez said, "Isn't it an ETP, not an ETF?" Okay, so it's kind of like these are just categories. So an ETP is an exchange traded product, and an ETF is an ETP, right? So all ETFs are ETPs, but not all ETPs are ETFs because there's a trust. A trust is another exchange traded product, right? Which is not an ETF. So you have ETP, which is the nomenclature, right? It's the mama category, if you will. Then you have ETFs, and you have trusts, and you have other products exchange that can be traded and exchanged. Okay, so ETP is just all it is just a higher category. No, there's been speculation that they're trying to use these words to try to confuse the market and things like that. No, it's just like, like altcoin is an overall category word for cryptos, right? And then you have oracles, which oracles are a subcategory of altcoins, and you have Chainlink and you have Pith, right? There's others, but that's the whole point. So if I said, what's the next best oracle coin, right? I'm not talking about all of crypto. I'm talking about Pith and Link and other oracle coins. So in the same way, ETPs and ETFs, hopefully it's clarifying. All right. Smash the like button. Crux of Crypto saying, yo, T-Shroom. What is up, Crux? Good to see you, my man. All right. Got a little bit of spice there in the chat. But Drew, it looks like Drew was the first. He said GM, first to the chat. And then Dylan Martinez said, what is up, Jay? So everybody having a good time. Blackie Chan saying, good morning, bros. Gia S getting in early. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We are nearing the end of the show, but before we do, I've got one more story here, and this story is brought to you by ALGO. Now, you probably saw me using ALGO over here on the charts when I was looking at Facebook. So it works on stocks, right? You can see the oscillator down here. It also works on crypto. Let's actually, while we're on the chart talking about ALGO, let's go ahead and take a look at the Dixie as we wind down here. And I've got one more story, which is pretty good. Oh, I'm going in the wrong direction here. Where is the Dixie? There it is. Should have just typed it in. That would have been faster. Dixie not making any more progress for the crypto bros, unfortunately. Just kind of hanging out back at these wick highs at 103. So, but what you can see, actually, let's go to a non-index asset. Let's go to Microsoft. Why don't we? Let's take a look at Microsoft. This is one that we almost never look. This is obviously a stock, but let's take a look here. We can throw on these indicators that are really cool, and they can actually predict where a good stop loss would be, where a good take profit would be. You can use those as you're trading. And the other thing, too, is it's got these indicators. See, right here, there was a level 3 confidence, which is the second highest level of confidence for buying. And you would have made, if you bought at that and sold at this X right here, because it also prints X, you would have made 12%. Right? Now that's on a stock, right? So maybe you would have bought a call option to have a little bit more leverage in there, a little bit more bang for your buck, but you would have done pretty well with that. Also here, this would have been an intraday play, but ALGO with a level 2 confidence is actually predicting a move lower to the downside. So bros, you can get your hands on this indicator and start trading like a pro. Go over to the link in our description and find the ALGO link. You will not be disappointed. They've got some excellent indicators, and it's not just predictive tools. There's all kinds that I didn't show you. Tim goes much more in depth in using these tools, but I've been using them as well, right? And I'm having a lot of success. They're very, very helpful, especially the oscillator matrix. This oscillator matrix is one of my favorites, and it's what I use a lot. Yeah. So ALGO is what is bringing us this episode of making it possible. So definitely go and at least go click the link and check out their products and help support the channel here because ALGO is supporting us. Binance freezes 4.2 million in XRP tokens stolen from the Ripple's executive wallets. So this is taking a turn for the potentially better, right? So that is the benefit of crypto, right? Is that when there's theft, when there's criminality, you can actually see it on the blockchain. You can see where wallets, where funds actually traveled to that were stolen. And it looks like Binance is actually taking the steps to go ahead and cooperate and try to help out those who have lost their funds. So that is a pretty big story there from Chris Larson looking like he's going to be able to get his funds back. Will it be enough to save the reputation of XRP? I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to follow along on that story. But thank you so much for tuning in. Keep your stop losses tight and stay hydrated. And we will see you at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm really curious to see what is next for Matic, the altcoin of choice that could pump very soon. See you later, bros.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.